Hello everyone who's ever wanted to pile things on top of each other in a way that determines their effectiveness and efficiency. I am BorderWise, and welcome to the 2024 From the Depths tier list. So I've made a tier list for From the Depths before, but in the time since I've made it, and now, there have been two entire new weapon systems added to the game, that being flamers and incendiary stuff in general, and plasma. Plus, also, I have revised my opinions a little bit since last time, so I thought, yeah, it's time to do another one. So, to start off with, I'm going to try and keep this reasonably speedy, because there's a lot to talk about every weapon system in From the Depths, and I'm going to try and stick to the script as much as I can, so I don't waffle on for hours on end. Things to consider with weapons and their efficiency is, first off, effectiveness, how quickly the weapon can destroy a target, the versatility of it, which is the range of targets that a weapon can successfully engage, and efficiency, which is the material cost of building or maintaining the weapon versus its effectiveness. Efficiency and effectiveness quite often go hand in hand, but not always. So let's get into it. Let's start with F tier, right at the bottom. We have drills. Now, to give you an idea of just how low down drills are in terms of like where they fall on the tier list, in my first tier list video, I completely forgot that they existed. So things like these simple drills and the steam drills, well, the pros of them is they do huge amounts of damage when they're used correctly. So I do have one good drill craft here. So I'm going to spawn in a marauder, and I'm going to go find that drill craft. So you can see... No, wait, no, wrong folder. I have so many folders. Drill... Steam Gobbler Drill Drone, and let us see if this fella does the trick. So the key with this guy is that he... Hold on. Let's see here. Is this just decoed? I hope not. It is a steam drill. It goes along like that, and hopefully it does a munch on the marauder. So... any second now... I should have spawned the marauder in close-up. Damn it, I'm going off script again. So the great news about this is that it does huge amounts of damage when done correctly. You can see there the thump damage is just om nom 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 om nom 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 nom. The bad news is that drills are heavy. They are a melee range thing. Did this thing just commit seppuku on the... Yep, oh dear. Oh! Yay! Die! Okay, well, I was distracting myself. Alright, so it requires melee range, and you really need to be good at building a fast, maneuverable vehicle that can catch up to and destroy stuff. And this is one of the better drillcraft I've seen, and as you can see, it's managed to cripple itself by bumping into the marauder at the wrong angle, so... I honestly couldn't have asked for a better demonstration by how much drills kind of suck, so there is that. You explode, please. And we're going to spawn you again. To give you an idea of just how heavy drills are, you look at this stuff. This large drill bit is over 1,000 in terms of mass, and the smaller bits aren't that much better. And as for the steam drills, you go over here, and you look at this... yeah, they're weighing as much as, like, lumps of heavy armor do, so they just generally suck, they're an F tier, and there they shall stay until, I don't know. The fact that they're classed as simple weapons, the simple weapon drills, and they're really complicated to actually make a vehicle that can use them effectively, definite F tier. Speaking of simple weapons, for E tier, that's where the other simple weapons go. They've dropped a category since my last tier list video. For two reasons. Firstly, I've been made more aware by how essentially material inefficient they are. They are pretty expensive for what they're actually capable of, generally. Like, even the more interesting things like the tactical nukes. Quite pricey. And, and rams and nukes, so rams, nukes, are also melee weapons, which really reduces their overall usefulness and versatility, because they can only hurt things that can catch, so anything that's too fast, or is at an altitude they can't reach or something like that, they can do literally nothing against. and it requires you knowing how to build a proper melee craft in order to use them at all. I've done this backwards. Like, the pros are, these things are simple to use. Like, you literally just place a local weapon controller and then go here and then plonk one of these fellas down, not necessarily on the local weapon controller, and like immediately you're good to go. You have a weapon that is functional and will quite happily shoot at a duster, for instance. So yeah, these things have their place. They are very simple to use, of course, so they're good for new players. Custom shell weapons base are essentially APS for dummies as well, so for learning what APS shells work well, the custom shell weapons are actually pretty good. So, but yeah, that doesn't offset the fact that if you know what you're doing, you can make an advanced cannon, or a laser or something that does the job of these things, like, much better than they ever could, for less resources, and they will do more damage. So these things are down in E tier. They're handy if you just need to slap down a weapon in a hurry, like you're in adventure mode. Otherwise, I don't even use them anymore. I had that realization when making this tier list that I don't really use these things at all, which is a bit of a damning indictment of a weapon system, really. Okay, so next we're moving up to D tier, which honestly, like, what is in D tier and what's in E tier, you could swap them around, really. As I was looking over this again, I thought to myself, actually, I could do something different here. I'm just going to adjust this, and I'm going to build the next thing on the list, and that is Flamers, newcomer to From the Depths, most recent category of a weapon. And these have some definite pros and cons. One of the pros is, of course, that it sets things on fire. So let's spawn in the Marauder at roughly 300 meters. And this tiny little flamethrower... What the hell? Come on, man. Left and right. Oh. Oh. Whoop. And tilt you on your side. Do I remember how to tilt things on their side? Hello? Damn it. There we go. So, good news about Flamers is, first off, taking full advantage of the new incendiary weapon type. Fire damage, in other words. They set things on fire, which means that against wooden targets, like, oh, I don't know, for instance, the Deepwater Guard, they are very, very effective. They're also very compact, so this is about as small a flamethrower as it is physically possible to make. So it's literally just like 4 blocks, including the local weapon controller, and it's actually doing okay. Like, it's not doing great damage, but geez, come on, this is tiny. And, yeah, so it is reasonably cheap. This flamethrower, in its total cost is... Whoops. Its total cost is 800, which is nothing, and its total volume is 6, which is 6 more than nothing. So, very compact, reasonably cheap. It is a good early campaign weapon, or early adventure mode weapon. Good for rushdown airships or helicopters. You can just bum rush stuff and set them on fire, and that's just really good. This particular one is, well, very small, but what if I prefabbed it and added some more? I'm getting distracted, but that's okay. That is okay. Whee! Now there's a lot more flames. Sizzle, sizzle! Okay, but there are some definite downsides with it, and Flamers, one of the biggest drawbacks of them is their range. They have a maximum range of 400 meters, which, admittedly, is 400 meters further than melee damage. So they have that advantage over drills and rams and that kind of thing. But still, there's a lot of things and a lot of situations where the target is not going to be cooperative and stay at roughly 400 meters. Bit of a bummer. It also has greatly diminishing returns when they get bigger. Like, I've messed around with giant flamethrowers, and honestly, they're really not worth it. These things are at their best when you keep them nice and small. They're a good secondary weapon, actually. So, when you get in nice and close, you can just barbecue something. that is being a problem. Honestly, just spamming these tiny little flamethrowers, that's already enough. Like, you can see here, like, stacking these guys, you're actually melting, at the very least, you're melting the wood off this thing quite nicely. Fun. And, it also doesn't penetrate the target well. Even a very strong flamethrower has difficulty reaching deep inside a target. It needs to burn through layers of blocks before it gets to the good stuff. And it also does its damage quite slowly. Even the most powerful flamethrowers, fire takes a while to burn through stuff, even if it's at quite a high intensity. Let's see, are we sizzling? Yes, we are. Yeah. So yeah, flamethrowers, they are in D tier, arguably E tier. Simply because, like, I don't know. They're cheap, they're compact, they're useful, but just they're not generally versatile enough. What lets them down is their versatility. They suck at shooting things underwater, obviously, because it's too wet down there. Okay, moving up to C tier, and the Marauder was actually already demonstrating something in C tier, but we can demonstrate. Let's have the Doom Waffle. Doom Waffle is an oldie but a goodie. So, also, I forgot I put camo on this. That's pretty good. So let's shoot at what is a good thing to shoot at? Let's shoot at a big fat thing. Let's shoot at the Kingstead. The Kingstead is fun to shoot at. That's too close. That is better. Alright, so C tier is Cram, so it's actually up a category from last time. Did I not have a local weapon controller put on this? Nope, I did. Okay, never mind. And kablooey. That didn't do anything. That's embarrassing. But anyway, Cram Cannons. Pros. They have the best material to damage ratio in the whole game. When it comes to points of damage versus material spent, there's pretty much nothing that beats a Cram Cannon, especially one that's set up in a way that's clever. In this particular case, it is an AP frag HE cram, and it does a lot of damage. Doom Pancake. And it is reasonably easier to learn. I still could, like, your mileage may vary. They are easier to learn than things like particle cannons, or, like, drills, or lasers, or advanced cannons, or stuff like that. So, there is that. And also, really big cram cannons are pretty hard to defend against. Let's see the shell health on this. 54,000 health is already getting to the point where a lot of things in the campaign cannot destroy that shell in time before it hits them. But you can quite... if you build up, cram scales up in size pretty damn well, and still does a fair amount of damage when it's small. You can make things that are shells that are very, very difficult to shoot down if you make them big and you really go ham on the hardener pellets. So yeah, there is that. The cons are, unfortunately, it is the least versatile weapon system in the game. It is really only good against things that are any combination of the following. So slow, surface targets, move in a predictable pattern, and don't have excessive... or sufficient active defense, I should say. So let's just demonstrate that, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Alcazar can destroy this shell. And wait for it. Yep. So when you're facing things like this, and I've had a long-standing grief against lambs for this very reason, because back in the day, I pretty much only used cram cannons, and lambs ruined my life. The slow shell speed and the slow fire rate means that really they're really bad against fast erratic targets, and even at point-blank range they can miss things just because of the way that the From the Depths AI predicts target movement. Actually, wow, I was tripping there for a second. This thing actually managed to hit. Oh my goodness, how amazing. So yeah, like when shooting at big targets, cram is king, but the thing is, in the campaign and in adventure mode, and in tournament rule sets which don't favor cram cannons, you're not going to be facing giant craft, which are proof against everything else. So their usefulness is arguably kind of limited. Although the Doom Waffle is actually doing pretty well against the Alcazar here, doing better than I thought it would. So yeah, that's Cram. Unfortunately, favorite weapon type, but as a long-time Cram gunner, I must admit, they're still C tier. They're like when they're actually used against targets they're supposed to be, and when they're built properly, they are amazing. But still, for a lot of things, they're just not very good. Now over in B tier, we have missiles. So what shall we have here? We shall have. I've never played with a Jet Hunter before. Let's play with that. What do these look like? Do these do anything? Can they shoot down a Duster? Duster! Like so. Probably can shoot down a Duster. So, missiles. Pros. Compact fire... They just straight up missed the target, didn't they? Oh, no. Also, stop moving. There is no need for you to move. Okay. Wait, are they actually going to lock onto anything? No, they're not. My goodness. We're just gonna do this to make them better. So, they're very compact. They are very versatile. Whether you use them as missiles, you can use them as torpedoes. And, they track targets, so... That's good. They lock onto things. That's very convenient. They are simple to learn and easy to use. Like, they're good for newer players and more experienced players. Let's follow this missile to his destiny. Whee! Okay. Throat's right. They're easy to protect as well, so you can very easily just build up, you know, armor around them, so that from a flat angle, like, you cannot even hit them directly. So you can see here, imagine a shell coming in. Boop, hits the metal beam first, unlike, say, I don't know, something like a cram cannon or a flamer or something. Like, the actual bit that does the firepower needs to be exposed in order to work. And more advanced missile tactics, so using things like remote guidance. Where is that? So, whoops, over here. So things like remote guidance or Lua missiles. They can be very, very powerful and very, very hard to defend against. And, yeah. But there's a few cons. They are very expensive and they're they're very ammo hungry. So you can see material cost to reload is 3 times 4. That's not bad, but bear in mind these missiles are small. If you go to something a little bit bigger... So if we go over here, are you pointing that way? No, you're not. If we go to even the large missiles, this is where things get a little bit expensive. Like you see the gantries are already damn big, and the material cost is 96 just for one missile. So they are expensive. And they eat a lot of material, they eat a lot of ammo. They're also not super good against erratic targets. I was actually combat testing the Banshee, the Steel Strider's Banshee against flying squirrels a little bit earlier, and astonishingly, the Banshee actually managed to shoot all the squirrels down with missiles. So, if you want good AA missiles, like, look at the Banshee, if only because it fills the whole bloody sky with AA missiles, so that'll do the trick. I want to see if these prefabs can shoot down the squirrel, because if they can, I'm going to be very embarrassed. Because I've long wanted to... have a good, anti-squirrel missile. If only for bragging rights, if nothing else. Not sure who I would brag to. I'm not sure anyone would be impressed. But yeah. There are definitely better anti-air options. In fact, a lot of weapons, like most weapons on this list I'm now thinking of that are above missiles in the tier. In fact, all of them are better anti-aircraft options than missiles themselves, which is... really unintuitive for people who are coming to From the Depths from, like, you know, a real-life perspective, so to speak. So, yeah. They also have more counters than pretty much any other weapon. So, missiles themselves have things like, signal decoys for radar and sonar, sticky flares to fool IR missiles. They have, Did you actually hit anything? No, you didn't. There's things like ECM for remote and Lua guided missiles. So every kind of missile has a specific counter. And of course you have missile interceptors and lambs and seawers and all that kind of stuff. which can just shoot them down. Oh my gods, we actually landed a hit. It's because it basically flew straight into them. Bravo. So yeah, missiles, they are a solid B because they're very useful all around and just very good at dealing damage and dealing reliable damage. If they can hit it, they can damage it. And that's pretty much the thing. The question is, they don't always manage to hit the target. But also down here in B tier is Plasma. So Plasma is down here, and I'm just going to go with this thing over here, and we're going to spawn in... Oh, what should we spawn? Let's spawn in something that is a heavy armor brick, but a manageable one. Let's spawn in an Iron Gate. Why not? Pew! So, Plasma, pros. It is very compact. There's a number of... It's usually the lower tier weapons which are like really good at being compact, I've just learned. I should play with this thing more. This is a fun thing to look at. So, they're compact, they fit in a nice tight space, they have really good armor piercing, so the default armor piercing for... Let's see, does it say here? Does it say here? No, it does not. So, does it say anywhere? I'm not sure where it actually says anymore. Damage per shot, projectile speed. It doesn't actually say the armor piercing of the thing. Hold on, does it? No, it doesn't. Plasma cannon, RPM unit. Here we go. Armor piercing is 100 by default, unless you're using a destabilizing thing on the end of the accelerator, which means it fires a lot quicker, but at the cost of armor piercing, dropping it down to 20. So this thing, plasma weapons eat armor for breakfast. It's quite something to see. You can have very fast projectiles with them, like you can crank it all the way up to like 2,400 meters per second, and there's no arc on the projectile, unlike with crams or advanced cannons or anything like that. So they're very good at hitting targets at a distance, and if you use a stabilizer on the end of the accelerator, like, they don't even lose that much damage over long distances as well. Essentially, they're the lazy person's railgun, which is really convenient because railguns are really good. However, there are problems with them, which puts them down here in B tier. They are very expensive, so the main expense for plasma is the generators, which is what you really need in order to have the thing fire at a reasonable fire rate at all. So the sequester sniper, which we're using here, this small to medium-sized turret is like almost 80,000 materials, and they use both ammo and battery energy. And so you have to factor the cost of batteries and whatever is charging the batteries in there as well, which is usually things like steam engines. So yeah, these things they're expensive for what they do. The firepower to material ratio isn't super good simply because of how expensive they are. They do a lot of damage, but they are just so pricey that against anything that does not have... that isn't just made of heavy armor, you just have much more efficient options to shoot these things with. To shoot at them with, I should say. And yeah, they also are really terrible against anything that is underwater. So if we spawn in a Steel Strider's little Remora, and I believe we did take 2% health off this. So you see that did almost nothing, that little shot right there. Never mind the inaccuracy of the thing. So it only did about 3,000 damage now. So they are really bad at shooting through water. They lose damage so quickly. And also the fact that this AA mantlet, right here can only aim down so much, so that certainly doesn't help its case. Let's do that instead, and also do that, so we can hopefully get off one last plasma shot. So yeah, plasma, is actually kind of a specialized anti-armor weapon and more of an endgame weapon against flying bricks, which are made mostly out of heavy armor and are just highly resistant to any other form of damage. So they are a tiebreaker, so to speak. So, B tier. But, moving on to A tier, and I'm actually going to keep that remora alive for a second, so that our next weapon system can demonstrate itself. That is particle cannons. And let's just replace this with a vertical lens, just so it can actually shoot down at the thing. There we go. 20 thump damage, thank you very please. So, particle cannons. The pros are, as you might expect, it is a hit scan. Whoa, yeah, it is a hit scan weapon and is like the final word in anti-submarine warfare, pretty much. Let's just stick this over here because it's bothering me. So yeah, these things eat subs for breakfast. Where's another sub? Let's spawn in a Typhoon because that's funny to me. It's effective against any kind of target, so there's no hard counter for it. Like, it's not stopped by water, it's not stopped by space, and effectively it's uncounterable except for keeping your distance, because it does lose a bit of damage over distance. I believe it does anyway. Am I misremembering that? Let's see, average, no, it loses accuracy over distance, my bad. So, the attenuation of the particle cannon is something that means that keeping your distance is effective. That being said, they're still damn good at hitting things from miles away. It's really only got kind of soft counters, and really a properly set up particle cannon is a counter to pretty much anything, especially if it's like an alpha strike weapon. Like, combat starts, you just immediately deal hit scan, 3 million thump damage, and like kill something just outright. However, it's only in A tier because, and like, stop me if this gets familiar, it is very expensive to build and use. It requires a lot of energy, which requires a lot of materials burnt to charge batteries. It's got a terrible firepower to material ratio, again, like plasma cannons, in that they're so bloody expensive. So you go here, a single meter of particle cannon tube is 200 materials. That is a lot. Compare that to a single cram pellet. Where is it? Which is actually not much better. It's around 180 materials. But with things like cram cannons, there are ways of offsetting that, and the connectors in particular are super cheap. And flamethrowers as well, the pipes and connectors, you don't need that much of them, but it's basically nothing. It's teeny tiny, itsy bitsy, teeny weeny polka dot bikini in terms of cost. Also, these things are volatile, so if I turn you off, and if I do this, and if I do, where's me death ray? Here's me death ray. So, no, don't repair. Hold on. So you see right there, wait, no. Did that do what I thought it did? That might have been me. Let's repair that again and just go... Zip. Yep. So there we have a bit of a... Nope, that worked as intended. This is the first weapon in this list, actually, which is, like, genuinely volatile. Damaged particle cannon tubes are very, very dangerous to whatever craft they happen to be parked on, because, like, starting from the end of the tube, the particle shot will exit, like, wherever it exits, and that could be right in the middle of the turret, and that could blow the whole turret to hell. So you really need to go the extra mile to protect these things, or at the very least keep them away from other delicate, more sensitive, squishy parts of your craft. So that's a major downer right there. And yeah, so pack A tier. Now moving on to S tier, we have lasers. They are above particle cannons for the following reasons. They are just an overall more useful weapon, I tend to find. Require less of a backlog. So let's go to lasers. And we're just going to have What are we gonna have here? Basic 4Q laser. Don't mind if I do. And we're just going to have a stick, and I'm going to use one of my laser prefabs just to show this off. Laser turrets. We're gonna go with a 2-axis laser 7 because this is fun, and I'm just going to adjust this so it actually is accurate in the correct way. There we go. There we go. Joe Schmo. Spawn in the flying squirrels. So it goes pew pew pew. Laser go pew pew pew. It shoot down the flying squirrel. You can't dodge something that moves at the speed of light because you just can't. Eats flying squirrels for breakfast is very nice. What? Why are you being all cuckoo crazy? That's really weird of you. But anyway, so lasers, hit scan, very accurate because it's laser accurate, literally. It melts through armor even after recent changes that kind of are meant to not make it do that. It will still cook things quite nicely. It is quite fun to see flying squirrels set on fire. I do like that. I do like that a lot. And this little laser has just barbecued something that it would take missiles ages to deal with. 2-axis lasers have, like, probably the best elevation of any weapon in the game because you can entirely separate the laser system from whatever is on a turret. Which means that the 2-axis laser is nice and small and compact. You can stick it anywhere and it can aim straight up in the air. So if you... Oh, I don't know. If you're having to deal with... If you're having to deal with something that lives in space... Where is it? Where is the thing? Palladium. There it is. So if you're dealing with something in space, you can still deal with it quite probably better with a laser than literally anything else. The Palladium is probably not the best target for this teeny-weeny little laser system, but there you go. So it is by far the best option, as you've just seen from how it barbecued a whole swarm of flying squirrels. Best option by far against fast erratic targets. Because it doesn't it loses damage with distance, but not really accuracy. So it is better than particle cannons against at shooting things that are a great distance away. It sets things on fire, so against wooden targets, it's really good, and just means it just constantly generates bonus damage as it sets things alight. And it's got pretty good firepower to material ratio than a lot of other things, actually. It's certainly got the best of them out of energy weapons. You will find that the stuff required to power a laser is considerably less than... why are you falling out of the sky? That's very silly. There's no way... Oh dear, the Palladium has problems. So yeah, the lasers generally in their backlog are less of a system... Wow, you're actually trying to dive underneath us. What a cunning maneuver. This is weird. Alright, so... Yeah, just like, overall most useful energy weapon, honestly. Or certainly you'll find yourself needing them a lot sooner and relying on them a lot sooner than you will for plasma and particle cannons. So yeah, there is that. There are cons, though. They suck against submerged targets, so if I go back over here, and where is our friend, the Remora? And I'm just going to modify this so you can see how much damage this does, actually, beneath the waves. It go pew 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 pew. So it does very little. We are barely scratching the paint of this thing. Admittedly, they do a lot better against underwater targets when they're shooting straight down at them, like just through the water like that. So they're not terrible, or they're not as terrible as I used to think they were. But still, they're not good. They're not great against things that are hiding underwater. And also, they are countered by shield projectors and smoke, which weakens their armor piercing. So, against things that have decent smoke or decent shield protectors, lasers are not your best option. This laser is actually managing to zap things off here, so that's quite nice. That is quite nice. It's doing much better than the particle cannon, I do have to say. My goodness. Although the fact that this little guy is getting so close to us is probably why this is working at all. You can imagine something like a blackcurrant, which actually keeps its distance well, it wouldn't deal with this. But yeah. What else? That's basically it, really. Like, its weaknesses is just like there's some pretty strong defenses against it, and they suck at shooting underwater, and that's about it. So, S tier 4 lasers, they are pretty good. But now, of course, we must go to the absolute king of weapons from the depths, and you probably already saw this coming. Yeah, it's APS. It is APS simply because it is the most versatile weapon system in the whole ding-dang game. And, yeah, let's see here. Let's try this. Oh my god. What? What the hell? Like, why does there's something wrong here. It's like, I keep deleting the mainframe here, for some reason. That's weird. That's very weird. I don't know what happens. Alright, so maybe it's something with the shift delete. Anyway, so... Oh my god, that is a railgun, isn't it? Let's spawn in a Marauder, just for fun. So... I hope that reloads at some point in the next 100 years. But anyway, so... It's very simple. APS, they're the most versatile weapons in the game. And this is a burp gun, actually. I should put a different one down, actually. Hold on. Let's try this. Let's try to put in the Mamba, because the Mamba looks good. How much damage did that do? Whoa. So anyway, there is no job that you cannot conceivably get an advanced cannon to do. If you want to deal with armor, you use heat, hesh, or armor-piercing rounds. If you want to deal with something small and erratic, you use timed frag, or flak, which is known as anti-munition warhead in this day and age. You want to deal with something underwater, use supercavitation rounds. You want to deal with something in space, you use an AA mantlet and, well, any shell that does the job, really. So, honestly, that's just the main reason that they're top tier. Is like, they are by far the most common... Like, if you look at the workshop, like, every other thing you see is going to have some kind of advanced cannon on it, simply because they're so good. There's, like, even a poorly made advanced cannon is better than, like, some of the lower tier things on this list. It's certainly better than a drill. I will never stop giving crap to drills. I swear to G. I swear to bananas. Let's spawn in it. Let's have a decimator. Why not? Why not? And spawn in, I don't know, 3 marauders. Kablooey! Whee! Whoops! The cons of advanced cannons are, like, pretty far, but like, there's not many of them. They're not hit scan no matter how fast the shell moves, unfortunately, which means they're not as good at particle cannons, or lasers, or even plasma at dealing with, like, really fast erratic targets, but they're still decent at it, and, like, if it's a really high-velocity railgun, they're even good at it, so... Not as good as better options is not much of a weakness, honestly. And they are less material efficient than other weapon types, especially when you compare them to cram cannons. You need a lot more ammo storage if you're going to be using advanced cannons. And they also have less raw power. Even the biggest, nastiest APS shell will never do as much damage as, like, a cram cannon, for instance. You have to get kind of cheaty with, like, direct input feed rods and stuff like that in order to get them to do really big damage numbers. But still, an advanced cannon can fire them so much faster and at such higher velocity that it's probably, like, generally more useful than a cram cannon anyway. So, yeah. This is probably surprises no one who knows this game well at all, but advanced cannons, they're top tier. If you, like... Certainly, maybe not your response to everything. So, they're not what you turn to for a particular specialized job, but your first response to anything should certainly be an advanced cannon of some kind, because they're just really good. They are the best weapon overall. And yeah, that does it for the 2024 tier list. So just a brief going backwards. In SS tier is APS, most versatile weapon in the game. S tier, lasers, best overall energy weapon in terms of efficiency and utility. In A is particle cannons because it is a giant middle finger to all defenses of any kind. B is plasma because it is the end game hard counter to flying bricks, and missiles because they're just generally useful and easy to use. C tier is crams because they are specialized, but they are the best at the specific thing they do. D tier is flamers because they're fun and set things on fire, but their usefulness and efficiency and effectiveness is rather limited. E tier is simple weapons because once you know how to play the game better, you don't really need to bother with them. And an F is drills because drills just generally kind of suck. So, if you agree or disagree with my assessment of the weapons in this game, do leave a comment. I'd be interested to read what you have to say. And thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Support me on Patreon or YouTube membership if you like. It really helps. And there's fun perks in it for you. Thank you to all my current supporters, and I will see you next time in From the Depths. We just had to shoot more Marauders, I'm sorry. Farewell!